Welcome to the Business Awareness Hour with Norman, the Awareness Guy. Now, let's start the show.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Awareness Hour. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Norman Wasserman, also known as the Awareness Guy, and with me is the lovely Linda Grace Farley from Cycles of Life Management Services. Good evening, Linda.
Good evening, Norm. How are you today?
I am fine, thank you. How was your week?
It's been interesting. Very interesting. A lot of meeting new people that's more in the same mindset as myself, and that makes it so much better. So much easier.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
We have a guest this evening that also makes things better for people. Look how we segue.
Yeah.
What a great segue we get from just asking you a simple question, making people feel better. And you had no thought, I'm sure, about the fact that he helps make people feel better.
I had no idea. But we're going to find out tonight, aren't we?
We're going to find out right now as we welcome Dan Bryan from Bryan Tate Health Insurance Services. Good evening, Dan. Did you like that segue?
Was that great? You guys, like you've done this before. I like it.
I'm telling you, it's just amazing what goes on. Just amazing. Dan, welcome this evening. Welcome.
Yeah,
how's everything down in, let's say you're in North Carolina, are you not?
I am. Very rainy today, the past couple of days. Very rainy. Kind of like you, Norm. Had a meeting in Charlotte today, and I was on the way there this morning, and it was pouring.
Really? Well, the weather's been crazy nationally, so it's it. Let's see. Let's discuss your story. Take us back from when you were a child, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I read correctly, you grew up in South Charleston, West Virginia, correct?
I did, yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about the story back then.
Chemical Valley, USA. That's where all Carbide and Fife Chemical and FMC did all their things over the years. That's why I will live forever, because the chemicals have made me immortal instead of killing me. I'm kidding. But it was a very interesting place to live. Yeah, I never realized how fortunate I was where I grew up and the family I grew up in until I got away from it. Yeah, I was so happy, so fast to get out of there. Yeah, just because, like all of us do when we're young, or at least a lot of people do. I graduated from Marshall University there in Huntington, West Virginia, and then hit the road. Travel all up and down the East Coast and the Gulf Coast, working, changing jobs. I get bored one place and take off to another. And
you were experiencing
what was your major in school?
BS. You can take that however you want it.
Well, the BS that we'll take any which way we want was in what field of
business?
Expertise?
It was business management, business marketing.
Okay.
I always wondered why they called it BS, and then I learned. But, anyway, but yeah, it was a great place to grow up. I had a great family, middle class. I was a hard child to raise. I tell my dad, the older I get, the wiser you get. My brother was 9.5 years younger than me, and our joke is he was the perfect child. God owed them one after me.
Yeah. So what type of jobs did you do, Dan? You said you migrated up and down, trying to find your niche? Is kind of like getting what are you going to do when you grow up?
Yeah, Linda, a lot of it was like that. I moved from I lived in Washington, D.C., around Washington, D.C. for 4 years in the early 80s. That was an adventure. Early 80s, that place was a cesspool. I mean, DuPont Circle, I won't even get into the visualization of that place back then. And I had a downtown D.C. territory and sales, and that was an experience in downtown D.C. in that time of Marion Barry running Washington, D.C. But it taught me a lot. I grew up in West Virginia, and it was an eye-opener. I lived in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And around D.C., I developed some bad habits, somewhat of an addiction issue. I won't get into that. Just had to work through that. And at about 26 years old, I had to have a conversation with self. You ever had those conversations with self?
I have at least once or twice a week.
Well, that's every week for me too. That was one, whether I was going to follow my dad's path, which was he broke the alcohol addiction among the males in the Bryant family, or if I was going to follow my grandfathers and great grandfathers and all the males up the line and let addiction control me, alcohol, drugs, etc. And I said, okay, I think I like how my dad ended up. So I had to change the environment. I went from Washington, D.C. to Montgomery, Alabama. Took a job in Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah.
Oh, you thought about a change.
Difference.
Oh, yeah. That's a drastic change. But
Yes.
yeah, I knew enough about addiction and friends of mine that had really seen them blown their lives up over it. If you didn't change your complete environment and just flip the switch and change, you can't beat it in the same environment. Yeah. Because Einstein said the people that cause the problems can't fix the problems. So he said it much more eloquent than that. You can't fix your issues if you're around people that not cause the issues, but help you with your issues. Yeah. And so I made that move and it was great. I actually was blessed. I worked with a gentleman that knew kind of some of my struggles, and he helped me get a transfer to Montgomery, Alabama, and went there. And I went to Pensacola, Florida, lived there for 7 years, and really, really liked Gulf Breeze, Florida. They never knew they were part of Florida. They've always thought they were part of Alabama, redneck Riviera. So I fit very well in there, being from West Virginia, and was in the grocery business down there for, I was in the grocery business for 14 years. And then I made a switch to textiles, textile rental, dust control with a company called Textilease. I moved to Durham. Lived there for a while, and then at that point I had 2 young kids, and I decided I wanted to do something where I was shaving the boss every morning as opposed to answering to a boss every day. Like, I'm a hard worker, but I'm a terrible employee. I ask why too much. How come? How so? Explain this to me. Don't just point the finger. And anyway, so it worked out for me. I went in the health insurance business at that point in 1998, and been an independent contractor ever since.
But it sounds like you have to work. Yeah,
why
you have
did
to
you
work solo. That's what it feels like, because you have to be able to pave your own trail.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had there was a lot of support. I mean, I never did any of it on my own. I always worked with companies that had backroom support, and handled some of the minutia of the licensing and appointments with different states and the insurance licensing and those kind of things, underwriting and all of that. I worked with some pretty good companies. I stayed with most of those companies for at least 10 years or more before I made a move. And so I ended up, I was running offices in Southern West Virginia and Southwestern Virginia. And a friend of mine that I've been working with asked me to come to Hickory, North Carolina to help him grow the business here. And a guy named Gary Bowman, really good friend of mine. I owe Gary a lot. And we started putting things together and worked together as partners for a while until he retired. And then I had an opportunity to make another change a couple of years ago, and with some of the law changes, some of the changes in health insurance being made permanent by the Inflation Reduction Act as opposed to temporary by the Health Emergency Act. I know a lot of acts in there. I get it. But when they made them permanent in the law, it made sense to make some changes in my career to take advantage of those moves, to kind of open more lanes, I should say.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
What you do for a living is not exactly exciting and sexy, but it's definitely important to the everyday person that needs insurance, and everybody needs insurance. Now,
Mhm.
healthcare insurance is what we're talking about. We're not talking about life insurance or
Right.
auto insurance. Now, let's discuss why it's important for people. A common sense question: why is it important for people to have insurance, and what kind of insurance should they have? How much insurance should they have? Tell it. I walk into your office and I say, Dan, I need insurance.
Mhm.
What do you tell me? How does the meeting go?
These are my first question. I have several of these a day. Is tell me your situation now. Tell me your story. How long has it been since you've had coverage? Do you have coverage now? I want to start there. I don't have coverage now. Then, well, how long has it been? Oh, it's been 12 years. Oh,
Mm.
that tells me they're probably not aware of how health insurance works today, right?
Mhm.
Well, I've got coverage now, Dan, but I don't like what I have. Okay, well, tell me about that. How come you say that? So
Mhm.
I have a
Mhm.
lot of everything with me starts with a short conversation, could lead to a longer one. Either I can help them after that, or after all my years since 1998 in this business, I know somebody that can help them based on their situation. So you asked me why this business. It becomes more and more confusing to people how to maneuver it. Yeah, you have somebody that say they've had employer group coverage their whole life, and then they decide to become self-employed. Majority of my clients by far are self-employed.
Mhm.
So they leave the large group coverage, and now they're in no man's land, right? They're like,
Mhm.
what do I do now? And what I find is in my business, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't keep up with the rule changes, don't keep up with things that have changed in the past 3 or 4 years
Mhm.
with the marketplace.
Mhm.
And that's where I've got to have conversations with people about, like humor me. Let me ask you a few questions and let's see where you are because things have changed. I work a lot of partnerships out with insurance agencies that either don't offer health insurance because it's too much of a pain in the rear end.
Mhm.
So I am their health insurance department. They're still the hero. They're the one helping
Yeah.
them. Same thing with financial planners. Same thing with CPAs. And then I also have agencies that sell health insurance, but because they make so little on it, they don't pay attention to it. So
Right.
I'll have referrals come to me from those people, and I'll ask questions, and I'm thinking they could have helped them. And why are they sending them to me? And sometimes I'll ask people those questions, and they'll say, "Well, nobody has explained it the way I could understand it until now." Linda, I'm a simple man. Okay, hey, let's start from the basics. Let's talk about how this thing works from the ground up. I just think certain things are very important. You might have somebody come in the door because of their family size and income that are paying almost nothing for health insurance now when they're used to paying X number of dollars doing an employer group plan or something.
Mhm.
See, things are bass backwards now. And I said that right. So we won't get in trouble. Bass backwards. Things are bass backwards now. It used to be the more people in your family you had, you knew you were going to pay more for each person you had on your policy.
Right.
Mhm.
It's not so
That's
anymore
not the case anymore.
because now it's based on family size and income. So I'll give you an example. A guy I helped today. When I ran prices on him and his wife, told him the rate. And he told me I have 2 daughters that I don't want to add because it'll be too expensive. So let's think about that for a minute. How old are they? Okay. He already told me his household income because we talked about it. So when I added the 2
Mhm.
dependents, it actually came in less than him and his wife.
And that's because of his income?
That's because when you're talking about the marketplace, the Affordable Care Act plans, the Obamacare,
Sure.
whatever you want to call it, with the changes, the way it's a formula that is based on family size and income. The more people in the family to the income, to the adjusted
Mhm.
gross income, they get more tax credits to
True.
help them
Yep.
pay for their health insurance.
Yes.
So I try to share with people, forget what you think you know about health insurance. because
Yeah.
don't put logic to this right now. Just let me ask humor me, let me ask my questions. Even if you've been asking before about somebody, let me do my homework. I'm not a one call close guy. I don't do that. Everything I do is off referral and my Google search, because we work very hard to get the Google listing at the top for our reviews and that kind of thing. So I used, back before 2017, I was a 300, 500 call a week guy. I was calling out internet leads, et cetera, et cetera. And that just 2017, I said, I'm gonna switch gears. I'm gonna put this ugly mug in front of as many people as I can possibly get in front of, kind of like whack-a-mole, Norman. Up and down, all over the place, right? So that's the strategy I went to. And I brought a guy on board several years ago, young guy, in his late 20s. I call that young. And he kind of taught him how to develop that same strategy. And he and I went to work together. And that's the Bryant Tate part of it. He's Coleman Tate. And he's far surpassed me. But when you're in training and recruiting like I was, that's what you look for. All the years I did that, I can point to maybe 3 or 4 people that were success stories, when it comes to having something to do with their careers. And 2 of them aren't in health insurance anymore. They took that and went somewhere else. But so I just find that when I have a Ask the Expert radio thing that I do sometimes, that I always tell people, look, my area code for this area is 828. So I say, why don't you get your information from an 828 area code instead of an 800 number? Call somebody locally here. I mean, I tell people, I don't want to have to duck up aisle 4 and I see you coming in aisle 2, right? I don't want to have to dodge a can of beans in the grocery store thrown at me. So we're going to be real clear on this stuff before we end the relationship or start the relationship. And I've always hated the word close in sales. Closing, no, you're opening relationships. You're not closing anything.
Right.
Close a sale? Come on. You're opening something up. But anyway, the point is, too many people in my industry shortcut it because it's convenient to do that. It's very easy to tell somebody, man, look, I can get you a plan, 0 premium, cost you nothing because of your family size and income. But they don't say, okay, now who's your doctors? What medications you taking? What hospital system is important to you, or does it matter? Questions like that help narrow down the choices for people. So they're happy.
Well,
with
what
what
is
they
it?
have.
Dan, let me interrupt for just for a second.
Yeah.
You mentioned that if you can't do it, you'll refer it to someone else. What is it that you can't do?
I might have somebody that's got veterans. Let's say they have VA, right? Well, if they've got Veterans Administration coverage and they're having problems with it, I'm going to refer them to my VA contact here in the area, because here's why. They can't qualify for subsidy help on the marketplace. They're already getting government help the way the marketplace looks at it. And I hate that. It stinks, but it's what it is. So that's only one example. I might have somebody that needs to be on Medicaid. Based on their income and family size, the kids really need to look at Medicaid. Maybe they all do based on their family. And North Carolina just expanded that. So more people can now qualify for Medicaid on the Medicaid rolls. And I won't get into what a fiasco that's been. But anyway, so some people come to me, Norman, and they tell me their story, and I realize they are better off going another direction. So I try to put them in contact with someone that can help them with that direction, as opposed to just saying, hey, I can't help you, see you later. Because remember, my business model is built off a referral, networking and referral business, which means if you treat people the right way from the start,
yes,
it's all part of serving. And I think that's what our business should be. It's not as much as it should be, but anyway. And especially on the Medicare side, that they're starting to clean that up, but that is a mess over there. on that side. But
Mm-mm.
I mean, I don't know if any of that made sense or not. But I enjoy putting puzzles together, and my partners, especially my insurance agency partners, anything complicated that's not a fastball down the middle, they will
Mhm.
send to me to break apart and put it back together, because that's what I do.
So Dan, let me ask you a question. You may have answered this.
Sure.
What inspired you to get into the position or the profession that you're in? Everybody
You know,
has an
honestly-
inspiration, right? I that's why I look at
Yeah.
it, right? Look at Norm, he loves music. So
Mhm.
it's a no-brainer that he would be led into that. I love what I love, right? So
Mhm.
what was it that talked to you
Mhm.
to come into the insurance business? It wasn't the sales, because you had experience with sales, right? But what was it that touched your soul?
Okay. I mean, honestly, the first year I was in health insurance, it wasn't an inspiration to be in health insurance. It was an opportunity to get back closer to family in West Virginia.
Okay.
I was able to go from Durham to Beckley, West Virginia, where my wife grew up, and get her within a mile of her best friend, which was her mother. Yeah, and my parents were an hour away, and I had 2 young kids. I really wanted to have the experience of grandparents when they were as they were really young
Sure.
and growing
Sure.
up.
Mhm.
So I chose the health insurance side because I could shave the boss every morning. You know, I answered to myself. I worked from home. I had I was on the road. I was putting 60,000 miles a year on a car, but that's back when everything was inked to paper, right? Nothing was online.
Right.
And I've been doing this since 1998. There was a time when if you missed a box getting checked, you had to go back to them and get an initial beside the box. So I spent a lot of time in southern West Virginia, where 45 miles on the map's an hour and a half, and people just have a hard time understanding that because there's no straight line anywhere, right? It's only 45 miles. Yeah, but and you're dodging coal trucks and gravel trucks.
Right. 45 miles. So it takes you an hour and a half to get there.
About a year into it, I started realizing that this helping people when they're in one of the worst situations of their life, they're sick. And they call and say, hey, I'm with my daughter in the emergency room and I can't find my insurance card. Okay, well, hang on. Yeah, let me get that number for you. And I think I put a story in the stuff I typed out to you guys. You know, lady's panicking. She's no way she's going to be able to pay that hospital bill her husband ran up before he passed away. Then I was able to remind her that, hey, you've got he and I did some benefits on this plan that were designed to clear out that $9,400 out of pocket for these situations. So take a deep breath. Let me go to work on getting the claim forms in. And she ended up paying nothing on that bill because we did it the right way.
Yes.
I call it the manure and the roses. I'll tell health insurance is part of it, man, but that is an ugly maximum out of pocket on those marketplace plans and private plans. I do both, and both are high maximum out of pockets. So I'm always suggesting to people, can we look at some options to help pay that $9,400 maximum out of pocket in certain situations? And here's why. Because that's what people get surprised by. So you got an affordable. Yeah.
So Dan, can you elaborate? What is this? Is it a rider or what is it on the insurance?
It's a lump sum payout. Let's say and usually what I do is an accident lump sum payout of at least $10,000 and a cancer, heart, stroke, critical illness cash payout of at least $10,000. Because what that will do is that will step up and clear out that $9,450. They got a $9,450 maximum out of pocket a year.
How many people know about this, right, Dan and Norm? I mean, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, that's usually imagine that's usually skipped over by whoever's selling the plan. That and my doctor doesn't work with that plan. They didn't ask you that? No. You know who the biggest? I'll probably get in trouble, and we'll say this anyway. The biggest offenders of that are when they call directly into healthcare.gov.
Ah,
They're the biggest offenders of not going through who's your doctors, medications. Are we putting you in the right plan?
yeah.
I've had them tell my clients will call in with a question, and I've had them say, "Why are you on that plan? There's a plan a lot cheaper than that. I can enroll you in that now."
Dan, let me ask you a question. I am so sick and tired of seeing the healthcare insurance advertisements on TV. No matter where you go. Now it's calmed down a little bit because I guess the enrollment period has stopped. What's with the zip code? They say if you have a special zip code, you're entitled to X, Y, and Z. And from what I heard, there's only one zip code in the entire United States where that may be true.
Is that Washington, D.C.?
I tell you the truth, I really don't know.
I'm sorry. I
You're close. No, they're talking about Medicare Advantage plans, which I also work with,
right?
Which are great plans. But what they're talking about is different. This is very micro now to geographic areas, health insurance and Medicare. Health insurance is becoming more and more like the Medicare rules. So let's go to Medicare. Yeah, I mean, you might have an area that has a $150 or $120 Part B give back, where they'll pay $120 of your $174 and some change Part B premium, right? You might have a plan in certain areas that has a $300 over-the-counter card that you can use to buy stuff as part of your Medicare Advantage plan. Mm-hmm. And the reason they say certain zip codes is because it may not be in every zip code, but it may be in some zip codes, right? Mm-hmm. Now, last year, you did not see as many ads. At least you didn't see the Joe Namath and the J.J. Walkers as much because of the rule changes with Medicare advertising. And that's going to tighten up again this year. I give them kudos. CMS is the group that manages Medicare and health insurance for the federal government. I give them kudos on trying to clean that up. They let it get out of hand. And when you're talking to somebody that makes a switch to a plan that has all this money they're getting to their Part B Medicare or over-the-counter stuff they can buy, do you think they're giving up something to get that in their benefits?
No.
Rhetorical question, right? They are. And I have people calling, 2 or 3 of my clients call me a year, Dan, I made a switch, or I call them to check on them. Why? Well, I'm getting this money back. Okay, what company? Tells me. I was like, you realize you doubled your out-of-pocket maximum.
Yeah.
And you realize your doctor's copays have now doubled. Did they tell you that? No, I didn't know that. Didn't think so. So there's always a trade-off. They're going to give you something, especially on the ancillary side, outside of your medical coverage. Chances are they're taking away something that was really more important to you.
Oh, yeah.
That you needed. Now you don't have a dental plan. Now they to do that, you don't have dental and vision now. They pulled that out to give you that kind of thing. So it's all about, again, doctors, drugs, what's important to you. What do you think about when you think about health insurance? What are you thinking? Talk to me. So we can put this together so it makes sense for you. And then tell me what you're used to. Yeah. You had coverage, you just let the group plan. What were you used to paying for that? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I was paying $80 a month from my employer. Okay, well, you realize it's going to be more than that now, right, Linda?
Yeah.
But then there's more, but how much more?
All right. Yeah, add a zero to the end of that.
Now, what budget? Yeah, so it's going to be more than 80. What budget are you thinking about, or do you have any idea? I don't know, Dan. All right, let me do some homework and let's run some different scenarios and see what makes sense to you. I have I'm paying $900 a month for my wife and 2 kids on my employer group plan. I can't do that again this year. Okay. All right. So what is more reasonable? 900 is too much. So what more fits the budget? What are we looking to build this within?
Sure.
And then we go to work on it.
I think a lot of people, Dan, they suppose they had questions. How can they get in touch with you?
Call me directly, 828
Okay.
381-8183. That number's wrong. That's the one Norman and I were talking about. We got the information, the pictures messed up on that. But 828-381-8183 is my phone number, and that's the best way. Call me directly, leave me a message, text me, send me smoke signals, whatever. And then the website, my number is on there also, the Affordable Health INSNC.com website. My partner, I am the Medicare number on that website. He's the health insurance number. His name's Coleman Tate. We split the baby on that one. And then that's a bit, or, Google Dan Bryant Health Insurance. Short conversation starts everything, and then it might lead to a longer one. If that makes sense.
We're going to take a break right now so we can pay the bills and I can pay my insurance. So we're going to take this fast break. We'll be back in 2 minutes, folks. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My name is Lisa Rodino. I am a commercial loan advisor and broker. Have you been finding that your business's cash flow is not where you need it to be? Have you found yourself taking from your personal accounts to meet your business's obligations? Have you found that those quick solutions of quick money are starting to get awfully expensive? My job is to find the right funding products for my clients so they can get back to working in their business and give me the task of finding the best options for their situation. Give us a call today to learn more. 516-268-0350.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friend Entertainment USA. My name is Norman Wasserman. I am also known as the Music Man. Let me just tell you a little bit about Friend Entertainment. We put on concerts for charities, and we do that everywhere from New York to Las Vegas. We do R&B, Motown, rock and roll, jazz, whatever it is that you wish. Friend Entertainment will deliver the best of the best for you and your charity. Here are some of the names of the talent that have performed with us on our stage. Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, The Temptations, Earth, Wind and Fire, the one and only ELO, Elton John himself, Kool and the Gang, and the fabulous Donna Summer. Go to our website, friendentusa.com. That's www.friendentusa.com, or feel free to call us at 631-698-9696. 631-698-9696, and we'll see you at the next show.
Okay, welcome back to the Business Awareness Hour with our special guest, Dan Bryant from Bryant Tate Health Insurance Services. And we're getting an education on what the right things are to do, or actually what Dan does, which are the right things. That's why he gets all these referrals from other insurance companies that need help, and for Dan to help these other customers out. What states do you sell the insurance in, Dan?
I sell in several states. The main ones are going to be North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Georgia, Texas, Florida. Health insurance, I can help any state. That's a wide open platform. Some benefits, those are the main states I focus on, just because I know those states. I like to work in states where I kind of know the systems, know the networks, and that kind of thing. I can help in health insurance in any state. That's an open platform. But one of the we talked about the health insurance benefits. That's one thing, and the Medicare benefits. That's something. But one thing, a lot of my clients are self-employed, and a lot of them do not realize the tax programs they can take advantage of to help offset their out-of-pocket medical expenses. There's a program called a Health Reimbursement Arrangement, HRA 105. Taxes taxed 105, section 105 of the tax code. And I've used it 20 some years now. And basically what it does, it allows, they got a married couple, they got to be married, self-employed, and they can't have full-time W-2 employees before they employ their spouse. My wife's a full-time nurse. I employ her part-time. Because of that, I can take up to 100% of my out-of-pocket medical expenses and treat them like a business expense on the self-employed side of the tax ledger. Now, this is different than an HSA, health savings account. That is, you got to set the account up, pay everything out of the account, and then the write-off is on the federal side. Okay. What it does, it gives a self-employed family, husband and wife that run the business, it gives them the same advantages that large corporations have with writing off benefits for their employees. Some states you cannot take the health insurance premium off, like North Carolina, because we're special here, Linda. We're a special state. Now, we can't take the health insurance premium off on the self-employed side, but out-of-pocket medical expenses, deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance, dental, vision, mileage to the doctor, long-term care premiums can all be written off on the self-employed side of the tax ledger. I have people
Even with the new tax laws, Dan? Even with the new standard deduction and everything? It doesn't matter?
Yeah, these have nothing to do with the 7.5% on the federal side. This is a straight bottom line tax write-off as an employee benefit. I've been through 2 audits since 98, and I have a folder that has 2 pieces of paper in it that back up this HRA plan: compensation agreement and responsibility agreement that my wife and I both signed.
Okay.
Now, Linda, negotiations are tough every year. She tries to beat me down and get more money out of me. I hold firm. I tell her, honey, remember, as your employer, I'm also reimbursing you for up to 100% of your family's out-of-pocket medical expenses. Then I duck, Linda. I know what's coming. Something's coming across the room. But I try to share this with all my self-employed clients that it fits. And it irritates the snot out of me how many self-employed people are afraid to take advantage of tax programs because they're scared of the IRS, or their CPA is scared to take them right to the edge. Well, this isn't taking them to the edge. This law's been around since 1954. Family Employment Act 1954.
Help me understand this, because Norm and I mean, we know a lot of people through NRG. They're all most self-employed. So if they had, say, for last year, 2022 or 23, they went to the doctor, they could write off mileage and the deductibles and everything else for that?
Whatever they paid out of their pocket, from mileage to co-pays, to co-insurances, but self-employed and married, and you can't have other full-time W-2 employees.
So now, suppose it's a single male. Suppose it's a single person.
They got to incorporate. They'd have to be a C Corp to use it.
So if it's an LLC?
Married,
if they have an LLC?
That's a question for the CPA or the accountant to look into.
Okay.
How it's based on business, because you can structure LLCs and S Corps different ways. But yes, it will work with that. I just use it as a sole proprietor. And yeah, now if I hire a full-time, I've hired people over the years, assistants over the years, I don't have to give them that benefit because my wife is already employed or she's grandfathered in. You know, I raised 3 kids, guys, and they only knew 2 speeds: sitting still and 120 miles an hour. So when they ran into something gave, and it was usually a bone on them. So I should have owned stock in the orthopedic, but that tax program really helped me offset But I had
for
to come up
sure.
with out of pocket. I've always carried high deductible health insurance plans because that's what I believed in. So, but I get help paying for that out of pocket dollar by using that program. It's just I will have accountants call me and say, what kind of trouble are you trying to get my client in? But and I said, well, look, you've got the fancy software, look it up. And they'll look it up and go, oh crap, wow.
Yeah.
So it's a well-kept secret that once people know about and implement it, they're like, wow, this is easy. All you're doing is keeping record of your out-of-pocket medical expenses and dropping it right to that employee benefit line.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of cases, some people will use like one credit card for all their medical, right?
Sure.
So this way, at the end of the year, when the credit card company sends their summary,
Mhm.
then they have everything all itemized.
Right.
You know what I think we should do, because it's getting a little bit late. Let's jump into the website. Let's go over Dan's website and take a look at it, Linda, piece by piece, and let's get everybody that's tuning in and watching a little bit more educated and why they should be calling Dan for insurance.
Okay. All right, so we have the Bryant Tate Health Insurance Services. Okay, let's scan down there, Dylan, a little bit. They are the one-stop shopping, which is nice, and you have both players there. Okay, you don't limit your choice to just one carrier, so you shop for them. Would that be a good statement there, Dan?
That's fair. Yes.
Okay.
15 different choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you got to, again, based on those very important questions, who are your doctors that are important to you? What medications are you taking? What hospital systems do you have a preference for?
Mm-hmm.
That narrows things down.
Sure. Oh, you got some, well-known Allstate, Aetna, Cigna. They're well-known. Anthem, I've seen those. WellCare, that one's coming up. United Healthcare, that's pretty good. So it's a gamut. It's pretty good. Okay.
There's a couple of them that I've never heard of before. I never heard of Oscar.
Oscar's kind of obscure. It's only in certain very limited areas, but it's a pretty strong HMO in the areas it is in. It's a very tight network.
Down a little bit, Dylan. Thank you.
All right. So they have health insurance, Medicare, vision and dental, and life insurance. So let's look at Medicare, because I think we have a lot of seniors in our audience that likes to come to visit. What suggestions would you make with Medicare for, I've seen where people just stay with their Medicare. Is that a recommendation, Dan? Or do you have like a company that takes care of that with Medicare in the background?
Now, Medicare, it becomes a journey about 6 months from becoming 65 years young, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when people start getting a lot of contacts about signing up for their Part B. Most people have Part A automatically, Part A Medicare, which is the inpatient side, because they've worked 40 quarters. Part B, they have an option, take it or not. I'd take it. That's your outpatient. That's your doctors and your labs and that kind of stuff. All right, so normally people are going to do that. Part A, you've already paid for. You pay for that in your taxes. Part B right now is about just south of $175 a month. Usually it comes out of the Social Security check. You never see it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not collecting Social Security, you pay it once a quarter. They send you a bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can stay with that. It's called Original Medicare. You can stay with that. Basically, you're going to pay 20%. Medicare is going to pay 80%. This is a general rule. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You have a small Part B copay, like $240. But anyway, now some people like to enhance that Medicare program with maybe a Medicare supplement.
Mm-hmm.
right? And that picks up what the original Medicare doesn't pay. And it's any doctor or hospital that accepts Medicare. So you don't have to worry about network, about being in, am I going to a doctor in network in my area? As long as that doctor accepts Medicare or hospital accepts Medicare, you're good with your Medicare supplement.
Okay.
All Medicare supplement plans, and they're A, B, C, D, E, F, G in general. Most people have heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be the exact same coverage, no matter what company you're talking to. They cannot be wrapped up in pretty different colored bows and wrapping paper. So you can truly price shop those. And there might be one or two companies that try to throw a small Benny in there, but for the most part, that's going to be if you get a Plan G from Allstate or a Plan G from United Healthcare or Aetna, it's the same coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And the Medicare Advantage, what that does is it turns over the Medicare A and B to a private company, say Humana, United Healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, whoever, and it just changes the way things are paid out. You pay the average Medicare supplement plan is probably going to run $110, $120, $130 a month.
Okay.
And then you got to everything you want outside of that. You got to get a Medicare drug plan on top of that. You want dental and vision. It's all a la carte. Medicare Advantage plans put it all together.
Let me ask you a question about vision and dental. Which companies offer the best vision and or dental plans out there? Is there one that you would recommend?
Yeah, probably on the private market, United Healthcare is probably going to have the widest dental network. Delta Dental is probably the best one, but they mostly only work with large employer groups. They don't do much in the individual side, which is what I work in. So normally United Healthcare Dental is usually what I am recommending to my clients. It just seems to have a broader appeal.
My dental plan is through Cigna.
Yeah,
I find them to be pretty good.
Yeah, now the dental plans through the Medicare Advantage package, which everything is lumped together, your drugs, your dental, your vision, it's all in one package. That changes things because all of them are pretty good within those Medicare Advantage plans. So if you have a United Healthcare Medicare Advantage or Cigna Medicare Advantage, they're going to have dental and vision 99% of the time wrapped up in those Medicare Advantage plans, all as a package. And most Medicare Advantage is zero premium a month because it's heavily tax subsidized.
All right, let's go down a little bit.
These are reviews, just things people have written in about our clients have posted reviews on our Google. Like, we're a small agency. We had to find some way to stand out. So we have far, far more reviews than the closest competitor to us, which is in the area, which is a huge agency here. So we've worked very hard to get the Google ranking up.
Your website is really nice.
Yeah, we went to a one-page website where it was very easy for someone just to scroll it. They didn't have to jump page to page to page. Somebody told me it was too simple the other day. I said, "Great, that fits me perfectly." I'm a simple
what
guy.
you were looking for.
It's one-stop shopping, one page. Anything more that's efficient.
Yep.
That's perfect. I like the image there, Dan, because that's saying we got you covered.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a beautiful image.
There's another insurance company that has something similar that they use as their logo. Your hands
Good
are
Hands
all
people. Who
Allstate.
is that? Nationwide? Who does the Good Hands people?
Was it Allstate? Their
It
hands
may
are
be.
Your hands are like this. Your hands are like this.
Now, they call them the Good Hands people. You're in good hands with Allstate. That's what it is. It's Allstate.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I like that one. I got you covered.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
Yep.
the hands of God. I got you covered. This is good. Nice.
Still going to go down any further?
I'm not sure there's that much further to go, but
Right.
yeah.
And
except
then
the
it's just
contact.
contact information.
Well, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Simple. It's a simple website.
Dan, why should people consider long-term care insurance?
Because they don't think about it. Yeah, the reason I got into long-term care insurance is I'm in a lot of groups. I'm in on a slow week, 6 or 7 groups, a good week, 12 to 14. And I've never heard anybody bring up long-term care.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking some financial planners in these groups, you guys do long-term care? Yeah. Why don't you ever talk about it? Yeah. All right, guys, long-term care is not your health insurance. It is not paying your medical bills. It is paying for your medical care, right? So people think Medicare is going to, and health insurance will cover that. It does not. Now you have a little bit through Medicare, a little bit skilled nursing, right? Now Medicaid will step up and take care of it, but you lose all choices, and you
Yeah.
have to spend down. And so, real quick, long-term care is something that's not thought of much because people remember it as the old long-term care. Very expensive, use it or lose it. And then people can't afford it. Well, there's 3 or 4 different ways now to go about getting long-term care. So I'm not going to get into it here, but there's ways that you can get the coverage you need, mitigate the cost. You can also build it where it will never go up. You know, once you get it, it's the same price. Strongly suggest building some inflation protection into it. So it goes, your coverage goes up as inflation goes up. Guys, you're talking about you're talking about thousands of dollars, over $100,000 a year for nursing home care.
Oh, yeah.
80 or 90,000 for skilled nursing care. In-home care, 7 or 8,000 a month, right? And
Oh, yeah.
it's not. And you've got women, 63% are the numbers that will need long-term care. 37 men. Why is that? Women usually outlive their husbands. So who's there to take care of them? Maybe their kids, right? I have a long-term care policy. Every now and then I'll lay it in front of my adult kids and say, this is you. You're in my mom's present to you. Is this long-term care plan right here? Right? So you can go on with your life, right? The average age is 82 years old that need long-term care. Well, because medical technology's gotten better, you get old, it's older now, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
At-home care, people want to have their care given at home. 39% of people at home, 36% assisted living, 24% nursing home. That's pretty even. But no matter how you go, now you have choices on where you get your care.
Oh, yeah.
It's just smart. The way I look at my long-term care is this. When I'm doing my financial planning, when I'm sitting down with my financial guy, I don't have to worry about that. That is taken care of. That does not have to be in my conversation about what if my wife and I need long-term care. Man, we're going to have to take it out of this IRA, 401k, whatever. No, that's taken care of over here. That's out of the conversation.
And Dan, let's be honest. How many people there is a population of Americans that don't have a 401k.
No, they don't.
They don't have, so they rely on whatever, Social Security and what the government will give them in Medicare.
Yeah, and there's a lot. There's also programs that they've tried to cover long-term care with these critical illness cash payouts, and that's fine. Except, I want you to listen to this. The 4 main reasons people need long-term care: dementia. Well, none of those terminal illness and critical illness plans are going to pay on that. Neurological, nope. Advanced arthritis, nope. Cardiac, probably. So the 3 top reasons people need long-term care. Those cash payout critical illness and cancer plans, they're not going to help pay this need, right? So I'm passionate, as you can tell, long-term care is something I'm passionate about because I've watched my family's backwards from everybody else. The men outlive the women, but we've watched on both sides of our family and the need for long-term care over the years.
Yes.
That I watched both my grandmothers live with us when I was growing up. Why?
Mm-hmm.
They needed care and didn't have any money to care, to do it. I watched my mom and my uncle struggle with my grandmother in a nursing home facility to pay for it and make sure she had good, decent care. Yeah, and they struggled.
That's pivotal, Dan. And now in today's environment, without going into the details, I think it would be good to have people go on tour of nursing homes, especially how they are.
Sure, I have two people that be both opposites. One guy said, "I was born on this dirt. I will die on this dirt. I only want in-home care." Great.
Okay.
I have another lady. She said, I only want facility care because nobody's here to take care of me in my home. All my kids are grown and gone. My husband's dead. If I need this, I need to be put in a facility. All right.
Got to have it their way. That's understandable.
It's also depending where you live. Mm-hmm. Like there are some major assisted living facilities in New York that numbers are absolutely outrageous, especially if you compare the same facility out in Kentucky or Tennessee or in Ohio someplace. It's totally different.
Yeah, people get blown away by the cost when they see the average cost of taking care of someone in a facility, even in the home care. It blows them away. And I have seen it ruin retirement plans. Just blow retirement plans up. That's sad.
For basic assisted living care in New York, in one of these 5 or 6 major assisted living buildings, is a minimum just assisted living of $6,000 to $8,000 per month.
And that's cheap.
Here in Florida, it's $2,000 to $12,000 a month.
We'll never see $2,000 here.
North Carolina, it's $8,000 a month for skilled nursing.
Yep.
Nursing homes, $12,000. And I'm in a lot of senior groups because I deal with Medicare, and I ask these people, these facilities, what's the average? And they'll say it is out of sight.
And that's why I was saying, Dan, not everybody has the means to pay that. They didn't have a 401k or anything. They're bottle washers. They're waitresses. They're whatever. They just work to survive.
Right.
We live in a Medicaid facility.
Right.
And some of those facilities are fine, but you don't have a choice. Saddest story, I talked to a guy. He said his dad was in a nice nursing home facility. They ran out of money. So he had to go to a Medicaid facility 60 miles from him because they didn't have anything local. Every time you go see his dad would beg him, there's been a mistake. I'm in the wrong place. Take me back where I was. And he just broke his heart every time.
And that's terrible. That's terrible.
But,
all right, Dan,
deal with that. Yep.
We got to have you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you again, because it's just about that Witcher now, believe it or not. Time goes fast.
It does. All right, you can get hold of me on the number you see at the top left-hand corner of the website, 828-381-8183. Also, you can go to the website at affordablehealthinsnc.com. And my partner is Coleman Tate, and he's a very sharp young man. And if you can't get hold of me, call him, and he will be glad to pass you on to me or help you right there on the spot.
Well, we thank you so much for being here tonight. I think you gave people a lot to think about, and the reasons why they should use an agent, to help them with that. And besides the fact that you need to make some money. So that being said, we thank you for being here, and we thank everybody for tuning in and watching, and we'll see all of you sometime next week, like next Wednesday. Good night, everybody. Have a nice weekend.
All right, everyone.
Appreciate it, folks. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
This has been the Business Awareness Hour with Norman, the Awareness Guy. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.